Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a Kentucky legend died yesterday, but the Commonwealth will never forget the impact he leaves behind. And a World War II veteran is traveling to the nation's capital for an honor flight this weekend.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6:32 on September 13th. Now let's check in with Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. And Brandon, it seems like we'll see a little bit of everything today. Of course, this morning there's some fog. I'll get that out first. A few sprinkles and then sunshine later on, which everyone can get excited about.
Exactly. And right now we're looking at the fog down south this morning. That's one of the big issues on our Corbin I-75 camera there. And you can see it in the distance south of the airport. But again, we're looking at those cooler temperatures. You can really see it when the lights go by on the interstate there. So just be aware of that if you're traveling in that direction this morning. It's not been as bad out at Mount Vernon, which is to the north of that. But again, temperatures out there, 50s and 60s. Here is the thing. The front has not passed by yet. It is still off to our north. It might be closer to this side of Lexington now, but it's still not passed through. So that means our temperatures will continue to drop through about mid-morning before they start stabilizing and all this pushes out. But once that front comes through, it's going to be a quick clear out, and you'll see temperatures rebound back into the mid-70s by this afternoon. Olivia?
Brandon, thank you. All right, Brandon, thank you. Corbin native and legendary former Eastern Kentucky University football coach Roy Kidd died at the age of 91. Many say that Coach Kidd lived a life of honor and integrity. And as I learned yesterday, he was a standout man, both on and off the field. He was a legend from the beginning.
I'll do it the right way. I'll do it with integrity, and I won't cheat. And I'll do the things the way it's supposed to be done, but I promise I'll win.
And that is exactly what the legendary Roy Kidd did. From an early age, the Corbin native was a star football, basketball, and baseball player at Corbin High School, leaving an impact on the community far beyond his high school years.
Our football stadium is on Roy Kidd Avenue, so it's a big name in Corbin. Everybody that's from Corbin knows who Roy Kidd is.
And the name Roy Kidd is not just known in Corbin. It travels up I-75 and beyond. Because in 1950, he took his skills to Richmond.
Was one of the top players in the state, went on to Eastern to play, and was a great player, played quarterback at Eastern. Just the history of Coach Kidd.
An All-American football player and a star on the baseball team until he graduated in 1953, returning to EKU just a few years later, where he became an assistant football coach before beginning his 39-year reign as head coach.
You know, he won 314 games as a college football coach. I think back to how many young men that Coach Kidd impacted and the lives that he changed as a football coach. To me, that's his legacy.
The legendary coach eventually took a step back from the sidelines and retired in 2002.
I love Eastern, I love our fans, and I thank you.
But Roy Kidd's legacy does not end with just being a standout player and coach. He loved his family, and he loved the Lord.
As a man, you know, a man of faith, you know, and it says that the absent from the body in the presence of the Lord, and I know where Coach Kidd's at.
91 years as a living legend, but leaving behind a legacy that will not soon be forgotten. During his tenure, the EKU football stadium was named Roy Kidd Stadium in his honor. And following retirement, the street in front of the stadium was renamed Roy and Sue Kidd Way. And a statue of the legendary coach is located in the north end zone. The university announced Kidd's funeral arrangements yesterday. His visitation will be this coming Sunday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., while his funeral will be on Monday at 11 a.m. Both will take place at the EKU Center for the Arts. According to EKU's website, in lieu of flowers, the family asked that donations be made in his honor to the Roy and Sue Kidd Endowed Scholarship at Eastern Kentucky University. And of course, Roy Kidd left his mark on many folks at Eastern Kentucky University and here in the mountains. Athletic director and vice president of the university, Matt Rohn, addressed the media yesterday. He talked about several things, from the advice Kidd gave him on how to run the athletics department and how hard Kidd was fighting for his life and how strong of a person he was. Rohn recalled his first interaction with Kidd in 2013.
We used to have tailgates in our Mobley building. There was an auxiliary gym in that space, and so we would have president's tailgates in that space. And so that was the first time that I ever met Coach. And my first conversation actually with him was him standing side by side Miss Sue. And since that time, just great friends to my wife Mallory and I. Again, a mentor not just to Coach Wells, but to me and in my role here. And certainly offered his ideas for how I could do it better, which I always appreciated. But just again, first class all the way.
We understand EKU's game will go on against Western Carolina at 6 p.m. on Saturday. A manhunt for a murder suspect prompted the Lee County, Virginia Sheriff's Office to issue a shelter-in-place order for the Ewing and Wheeler area of Lee County. Folks are asked to stay indoors and to keep the doors locked. The search is still ongoing after a man was reportedly involved in a deadly shooting in the Claiborne County, Tennessee area. The suspect, whose name has not been released, is 5'6", bald with a beard and several tattoos, and is considered armed and extremely dangerous. Deputies say they chased him from Claiborne County into Lee County, Virginia. As a precaution, all Lee County, Virginia public schools will be closed today. The leader of the Kentucky Supreme Court has announced he will not run for re-election next year. Chief Justice Lawrence Van Meter was elected to the position in 2016. His judicial career spans nearly 30 years in all 4 levels of the state's judicial system. And here's what Van Meter had to say following his announcement, quote, "I am announcing my decision now so that any qualified judges and lawyers can make the decision as to whether this office and consequent election campaign are appropriate for them. I am grateful and humbled by the trust of voters, my colleagues, and for the support of my family. I will honor the trust reposed on me by finishing this term dedicated fully to the judicial process for the people of Kentucky." No word yet on who might run to replace him. We now know who the finalists are for president of the Kentucky Community and Technical College System. The 3 finalists are Dr. Dean McCurdy, Provost and Senior VP for Academic Affairs at Ivy Tech Community College in Indiana, Dr. Beverly Walker Graffia, President of Mott Community College in Flint, Michigan, and finally Dr. Ryan Quarles, who of course is the state's Agriculture Commissioner. The candidate selected is expected to begin no later than January 1st. The KDE is getting ready to host the 2024 Kentucky Teacher of the Year ceremony, and we do have one teacher in the area vying for that honor. Winners of the elementary, middle, and high school teacher awards, along with the overall 2024 Kentucky Teacher of the Year, will be announced. The event is today at 10:30 a.m. at the state capitol in Frankfort. Hazard Independent's Luke Glazer will look to try to bring home the honors for Eastern Kentucky. An honor flight this Saturday will send a group of veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the war memorials. That includes Fred Hall, a 96-year-old World War II veteran from Floyd County. He is honored to be going because he says he knows some veterans do not get this opportunity.
And I'm honoring all the veterans. I know they need all the honor they can get because they deserve everything that they can possibly get.
Fred will be the only World War II veteran on the flight Saturday and says it will be a lifelong dream to visit the nation's capital.
6:41 on this Wednesday morning. Some cool temperatures out there, 50s and 60s, but we're going to get cooler as that cold front goes by. Headlines for the rest of today: slow clearing to sunshine by this afternoon. Very comfortable trend the next few days, and then we're going to track some weekend rain chances here in just a few minutes. Olivia?
Thanks, Brandon, and thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:41. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. A Baltimore clinic is an urgent care, but for mental health, helping people find treatment when they need it.